Hey everybody, so in this video we're going to be looking at one of the great new features of Pi 2, and that is the new Pi Gauge stack. And as you can see here, Pi now allows us to display chart data from our forms. So let's dive in. This demo is from the Pi 2 project file, and we're going to dive into all of these examples here. So to start up at top, I have two slider stacks. These range sliders come from the Foundation 6. You can just use numbers if you don't have the Foundation 6 forms. These are quite styled slightly differently because I don't have site styles and whatnot on the page. But here I have two sliders. This one is just called number, and this next one is called number 2. Okay. And then you'll notice that I have a normal Pi stack here where the field is called addition. And what that does is that adds number plus number 2. Okay. So that kind of just shows you the three different types of fields, or the three fields that we have. And let's dive into Gauge. So let's look at the simplest example here at Pi Gauge. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to supply the input names where the Gauge stack is going to get our data from. So in this particular example, we're just going to get a single point of data, and that is going to be from the number input. And that again is from the very first range slider that has the name of number. Okay. And let's just go ahead and preview this. And you'll notice as I change these sliders here, all the values change. But let's concentrate on this first demo here because it only is reflected with the first slider since we only gave it that data point. First off, you'll notice that it actually colors change based on the value, which is nice. Okay. And that is done further down here where you see we can define 4 different colors. And then if you turn on define color ranges, it will actually cycle through these colors with 3 different thresholds. So in this case here, we have 30, 50, and 80. So when the number is below 30, it's going to be red. As we see here, it's going to go red. And as we go above 30, it then turns orange, which is the second color that we've defined here. When we surpass 50, it's going to go to yellow, as you see there. And then when we surpass 80, it's going to go green. Okay, so that's kind of how the colors are defined. Now, if you don't define thresholds, essentially, the first data point is going to be always going to be red. Okay, and then if you have up to 4 data points within the gauge, each subsequent data point will use the different color. Now, if we look at this second example here, I've changed to the settings on this side. You'll see that one actually uses 2 different data points. It uses the data point from slide number 1, which you'll notice is red. And if you use the data point for slide number 2, it is orange. And the reason for that, again, the colors go in order that you defined here. So this is data point number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's what the colors are defined when you don't have thresholds defined. When you do define thresholds in this case, you'll notice that the colors basically go with the thresholds. Now, in this case, you'll notice because we have 2 data points here, I have a comma delimited list of the data that we're going to be using. So here I have number and number 2. And you'll notice that those are actually a part of the legend for this chart. And what's kind of nice is you can actually click on them to show and hide the actual data point. And if you hover over it, it highlights that particular data point as well, which is nice. Some of the other settings here are going to be super easy to understand. We have full circle gauge, which gives us, again, obviously the full circle. We have the multi-gauge, which was enabled here. You'll notice when I turn on and off the multi-gauge, instead of each individual data point having its own arc, they're merged into a single arc. Now, if we were to use percentage labels, like we see here, instead of displaying the raw data, it is going to show you the percentage of the total that data represents. The height allows us to control the height of this. So basically, based on the height, it'll also control the width. Now, the gauge constraints here, this allows your minimum and maximum values. And if you have enforce min max turned on, That means no matter what, so let's say I go all the way to 100. So this first slider is set to 100. The second slider is set to 10. Now, the total for this is actually 110. So as you see here, by enforcing the min and max, it's not going to allow this to expand. Let's turn that off so that you can see what's going to happen. So I'm going to turn off enforce min max. And what we'll see now is as I grow this, okay, you'll notice that the total actually grows as well. Okay, so you see that the maximum value here grows along with the values that you've changed in the slider. Now, next for title and units, this is kind of like a title and kind of like a subtitle, right? So we can do chart and let's say PX, something like that, right? So in this value here, we can basically kind of put a title and a subtitle there for our chart. Now, I wanted to show you how you can actually use the addition or pi within your charts as well. So in this one, I'm actually going to go ahead and add number 2, and addition. Okay, so now we're going to have 3 data points. I turned on full circle gauge. We have multiple arcs, so we have multiple gauges. I'll turn off percent label. We'll have our height. We'll just keep the colors as the defaults with no thresholds. And I changed the min and max to be 300. Okay, and let's have a look. So now we'll notice that we have 3 data points. And as I change these, they're going to modify dynamically. And what you notice, we have 50, 69, and then addition, which actually isn't a part of here. It's part of that pi calculation, is the addition of number and number 2. So as I modify and increase these values, we will see that the addition line is always going to be this plus that. Pretty cool.